Alrighty guys, good evening. Happy fucking Saturday. Hope you guys are having a wonderful evening so far, guys. Good evening, Slain. Good evening, Flames. Ah, yes. I just was making some ideas as a way for, because Twitch can't see the, always ahead of the curve, by the way, guys. Got to insert there right away. Twitch can't see that I'm interacting with other chats. And I think chat interaction is very, very important. It's one of the reasons I left Twitch for other platforms, because I could not stream to Twitch and other platforms at the same time. Being able to see when other platforms are talking helps in not only engagement, but people feeling as though they aren't alone, which I think is very important for small streamers. So I just made a suggestion to the developer of the add-on I use to keep track of streams, to mosaic or otherwise blur chats from other platforms, which I think is actually not against the TOS, because you're technically not showing what's on other platforms, right? So Twitch has a problem with me showing a combined stream, a combined chat, but technically, because you can't really see what the platform is or what the chat is, it wouldn't technically be a combined chat, right? But maybe it would be. It's a gray area, and that's the intention, right? Is because it actually the whole you shouldn't be able to see other chats or other platforms is kind of dubious at best, and they just don't want people to go wander off to other platforms, right? So, like, I'm pretty sure it's like a gray area where it'd still be considered acceptable, but not really, because you wouldn't know exactly what's being said or what platform it's on, but you'd still be able to see that I'm engaging with people. So that's actually really important. So, like, Flames isn't like, oh my god, the chat's so dead. Why is the chat so dead? And he's talking to himself. Oh my god, is he schizophrenic? I think he's schizophrenic when he's talking to himself. When in fact, you know, I'm currently streaming to 8 platforms, I think, now. Yeah. So, whether or not how much those matter, I don't know. But, you know, maybe we'll throw Rumble in here too, just for shits and giggles, because I can. Because I fucking can, guys. And that being said, you know, like, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel for, like, Helldivers engagement, mainly because Helldivers is kind of not really a dead game, because it is not a dead game in terms of player base, but as far as viewership goes, it's relatively dead. So unless you're a really big streamer on top of the directory, you're kind of fucked as it goes. Hey, Michael. Good evening to you, sir. Hope you're having a wonderful evening. Yep. It goes. I don't even think chat cares what's in chat. They just have to see the chat move on occasion. Kind of sad, but true. Yeah. Quality over quantity. I still remember some of the biggest streamers on Twitch, like, you're talking like 8 years ago, and all their chats were copy pastas. Yeah, like something that could be completely automated, just completely copy pastas. Yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go get my water, guys. I didn't even start a coffee. We're back. Alrighty. Shit. You did good. Michael motorcycle. Oh my god. Ah. Lovely. Well, yes, I did pee. It is very, very voracious urination as it goes. Ooh. But, anyways, hopefully that goes through. I don't know if it will. Time will tell on that. Open source development takes a while, so as it goes. As she goes, guys. Hope you guys are a wonderful evening so far, though. Tonight, guys, is going to be more of the Helldivers 2. Experimenting more with different builds and different things going on in the game. We tried most of the options already. There's a couple things I wanted to try tonight that we already discussed a little bit before. But mainly, it seems like the difficulty might have been nerfed. I said yesterday it wasn't nerfed, and then I guess they fixed the difficulty that was not nerfed, and now it's nerfed again. So, yeah. There's that, guys. Yeah, kind of unfortunate how that goes, but here we are. Yeah, so we'll probably take a look at that. We're going to play some more bugs, mainly because the bugs are, well, they're not only a major order right now, which I don't really care, but bugs are actually, good litmus test. They're a good baseline to go against, to get a feeling for what actually works and what doesn't work. We tried the crossbow yesterday. It seemed like it has hit registration issues. It might not have been whoever's hosting the units I was playing against. I'm not entirely certain. It was very, very lackluster, though. Eruptor might be broken again, but it might also be more skill-based now. So I don't know. People are still disappointed basically due to the range size reduction, but it hits extremely hard. And it's still basically a pistol, so... yeah, we're going to have to play around more with this. We talked a bit about durable damage as an alternate method for killing enemy units, and it is. Most does not work in that manner, though. The LMGs do not, so it's not worth taking an LMG for the most part. However, it appears as though kind of an outlier. I mean, the Judicator is alright, but you don't want to limb anyways because you have medium damage. There's no reason to limb most units. The Tenderizer, on the other hand, might be actually just broken as fuck right now. Mainly because you can limb units. Limbing units takes a little bit more skill, and I'm not against skill, as the kids call it, skill expression, or raising the skill ceiling in video games. I think that's actually incredibly important for engaging gameplay and making it so people feel as though they're rewarded for when they basically are playing harder, right? So you're doing a better job. I'm not against having like stuff that doesn't really take that much skill, assuming that they're, you know, like the usefulness, you can only go so far with so little, is kind of what it comes down to. Like the railgun, the rail cannon, not the railgun, the rail cannon. Rail cannon, basically, I'm not against it just one-shotting and bile titan, but it's also on a long cooldown and basically has aim assist built into it, right? The 110's kinda... I think they still have some weird issues. I'm pretty sure they're supposed to target the largest unit, and they don't all the time. Either there's some... it's like a delay. Either way, there's some issues with it, but once again, your usefulness of that as opposed to a 500 kg... also kind of limited. So there's stuff in here where you, if you're just a shittier player, you can use it, you're just not going to do as well. And I'm not really against that, because once again, like, it's not the same thing. Using a railgun isn't the same thing as like using 500 kgs and killing like fucking 5 bile titans, I think is my record for the most I've killed with one 500 kg. You know, and then Reddit wants to have the 500 kgs buffed because they don't seem to find a use for them, and they suck. So, yeah, I don't know. We tried a bunch of different weapons yesterday. Diligence, I thought this might have high limb damage. It does not. Either that or it might. It just, the capacity is so low. The magazines and capacity size of the magazine, number of magazines, and the capacity of the magazine are too small. As I mentioned before, I'm pretty sure this should get like a 3-round burst. 3-round burst and more magazines, as well as bigger capacity of the magazines. Both of these DMRs have issues. DMR designated marksman rifle or just marksman rifles. Somewhere between a sniper and a normal gun, right? For some strange reason, the weirdest part about this, by the way, is despite its medium armor penetration and high damage, it actually does less damage to, what was it, big heads? No, big heads it pops. Was it... There's one weird nuance we found yesterday when using it. Oh, corrosive bugs. So the fat green guys, yeah, this won't pop the heads, but the Judicator does, and they're both rated for medium armor pen, and this actually does less damage. Very weird. I don't know why. That being said, the Tenderizer also doesn't have that much limb damage in the patch notes, but it clearly does work on limbs, so I don't know. I really don't know. And you can actually kill a big head faster with this than you can with the Judicator if you're good at limbing. So taking off all the limbs on, like, let's say a big head on one side, and then, like, takes like half of one on the other, otherwise they start slithering around constantly. What you can do, and you can, I've also one-clipped Charger after, not even one clip, it just ran past me and I killed it before it could turn around. So, yeah. If you are skilled enough, you can potentially actually use some weapons to your advantage. We're going to have to experiment more with this. We're going to have to experiment more with the Ruptor. I also want to take a look at the crossbow again, because I might have had a leggy group of enemies, but generally it just seems kind of, still seems shit. It has hit registration problems more so than anything, and the explosion radius is very poor in it. We haven't tried any of the new weapons yet from the new Warbond, which we're going to take a look at tonight here, guys. Yeah. Hopefully these things don't turn back into the Ruptor meta, but based on the fact that the blast radius on it's so tiny, I don't know if that's true. I'm still conflicted on whether or not the Ruptor's broken or not now. It's up in the air, because it's very good, but I don't know if it's broken good. We're gonna have to see. That's questionable. I still, things we need to try out, Precision Strike, which I don't think still is its equivalent, even if you can use it well. Like, you can 500 kg and kill the shit out of multiple Bile Titans as opposed to one, so even if you can land and plop it properly, is it going to matter? Maybe not. Spear also does work. A lot of people are carrying these around. Low skill weapon, which is, we talked about this yesterday. I think one of the reasons people were so pissed off about the spear being broken for so long is because some people are only capable of killing bigger units with easy weapons, and because they're forced to use a recoilless and suck with it, or a EAT or a Quasar, they got really pissed off because they knew this weapon, which it is very good. They knew this weapon was basically gated, and they're unable to use it, right? So, whether or not this needs to be addressed in the future, I don't know. And people are going to bitch about it because, once again, I'm pretty sure this is because it's a low skill cap weapon and something that's very easy to use. The downside to it being, obviously, is it only works against bigger units. But nowadays, does it even matter anymore? I don't know if it does, because the only units you have problems with are Chargers and Bile Titans, right? And it does work against Chargers, too. However, it takes a little bit more finesse. Arguably a little bit more finesse, but that might not even be set in stone either. So, they can definitely change it by making it so it, like, the turn radius on the missile, for instance, is lower and has a higher chance of overshooting or missing targets, depending on how fast or what direction they're moving with, and making it more skill-based. I don't know. This is going to be up in the air, because the spear, as it turns out, is very, which we've already known, the spear itself is actually very strong. It's just it had a lot of issues with lock-ons, and that's very much what made it so no one was using it. But we'll see. We got plenty of stuff to mess around with here tonight. There's stuff that we aren't even going to test, like the turrets. The mine changes are not worth addressing or taking a look at all. Most of the side buffs, like grenade launcher, are not worth taking a look at, because they don't address the issues the weapons have, the fundamental issues they have in the first place, which we've covered yesterday, and especially in my really long video. And if you're curious about that, the 4-hour YouTube video, if you're curious about that, you can skip to the last, like, 20 minutes where we do a recap. You don't need to watch the whole thing. Even though the whole thing is very in-depth, and we analyze most everything. Original assumption based on what was going on in the game is that they nerfed the higher difficulties, and then yesterday, I said at the beginning of the stream, as addendum to that was that they didn't nerf higher difficulties, but then we had an addendum to the addendum, which is apparently the higher difficulties were bugged and spawning more units than they're supposed to, and now it feels like basically now they did nerf it. So we basically went full. We actually went 720. We just went in a full circle twice. So, yeah. Anyways, let me get my coffee here, guys, and then we're gonna get into the Reddits and see what the bitch storm's about tonight, guys. I will be right back in 1 second again. Alrighty, guys. Let's see. Let's take a look at the discourse here, guys. See what the kids are bitching about, and go from there. Pretty good. What do you think is on the D's tonight? These nuts. Good. All right, what do we got? Patch notes covered extensively. Proud democracy moment. Is this thinking of the kids? Yeah, think of the kids. Everyone loves thinking of the kids. At least title of the list. I'd actually like performance-based achievement titles. I mean, if you put up children here, people are going to come up with all sorts of weird shit. So, no. What's going to be next? Super Citizen Emily's Hospital for Barely Clinging to Life Children. This is a major order. Helldivers succeeded in liberating verdant wells in time to save civilians trapped within. Already, the very sick children are en route to Super Citizen Martyrs Hospital for tragically ill use. Although they'll receive the best care the Federation has to offer, Marfark remains automaton hands. MD-70 anti-tank mine factories have been shuttered for the time being, following multiple material shortfalls. Okay. We failed the last part of the major order. Save the children? Yes. What did it cost? Nothing. What? No one's gonna use anti-tank mines anyways? I don't think Reddit thinks that far ahead. New major order. Can we please make throw knife pick up so they can be picked up? Probably right into engine limitations when they're programming them, and as such, that's why they don't exist in the game. Because you're going to end up with people just littling fucking knives all over the place, and they'll have to stay there forever. Much like backpacks or EATs, only in the case of EATs or backpacks, like it's something you can only call in occasionally, where throwing knives you could technically just throw all over the place. Maybe they could have life expectancy on it or something. There's a lot of ways they could potentially deal with that. Very simple change would make me very happy. Oh, putting the like things by by each other, guys. Oh my god. Make sure you put the things by the other things. Good. Let's see. Please add an obvious message about this in-game. Able to spam eradicate missions, then argue that it contributes to plant liberation. It's tiresome in 4 months release. Such basic knowledge is more well known. Either like I'm pretty sure people only spam eradicate missions because they want to do something easy and get easy rewards. They call it the false flag argument. I don't actually do any of the 15-minute missions anymore except for Blitz because they're boring. Absolutely no reason to be efficient as possible in this game. So, was it false flag or what is it? When someone is arguing under false pretenses. There's a name for it. I don't know off the top of my head. Honestly, as much as I love the TCS missions, what made those ops feel like a grind, lots of missions. You don't actually need to keep playing the same thing if you don't enjoy it. You can actually just go do something else. As it turns out, you don't... Like, I didn't do the TCS missions the entire time they're out because I got bored of it. With Meridia, I did Meridia missions all weekend because it was very short and sweet and straight to the point. Last day, they got them nerfed and they weren't fun anymore. Yeah, they were around for maybe about 12 hours after they got nerfed, and then they're done, which I was alright with because it was actually maybe a little bit more than like 18 hours. Because when that happened, I was going to go play something else because they were very boring. And there's a bunch of people that were clearly playing at difficulties they couldn't handle, because all they had to do was throw stratagems on top of the bug holes and just sit there. So, game's not fun when it's not challenging, and there's 9 levels of challenge in this game that people should not be entitled to play on Helldive. Just play a different difficulty. I will not make fun of you for playing a lower difficulty. What makes Helldive prestigious is the fact that it's difficult, and they take that away, there's nothing left. And the game's not like a collectum game. It's not a gacha game where I go around picking up shit because it actually gets me something. The thing I get is the fun from the challenge. And when they take it out, it's not fun anymore. So, Reddit fucking wins. Made this for people who insist that HMG is bad. Current meta, I kind of doubt. That was HMG. Not the... I was thinking the turret. You can kill the autocannon much faster. 2 taps engines. Actually, I've seen 4 times. Yeah. Fuck. A little eyeball you can shoot? Kill it? No way. I didn't know that. If you can kill that with the autocannon, too. I mean, these aren't really the end-all be-alls. Like, a Dagu isn't really... I want to see him kill a Brute or a Hulk. Hulks are basically what kills you. And this can't kill a Bile Titan either. So... you can annihilate a Bile Titan after shooting the belly after the sack bus. Yes, you can. But in order to do that, it's the same way as blowing out the pooper. And they're talking about blowing out the pooper. You can do that with the autocannon. It takes a substantial amount of effort to do that. And you risk dying while doing it. Your Bile Titan actually works well. No, it doesn't. With almost every difficulty level, at higher difficulties, you're going to have multi-tiered waves or layered waves. And trying to get a Bile Titan alone is unlikely. So it's not a viable attack. We talked about this extensively with the autocannon. It doesn't change with this. People that think that they can get underneath the Bile Titan, even if you survive, like get underneath it, which I can. Like with the autocannon, I have to reload and shoot it 15 times, which is not something normally doable. Especially with the multi-tiered offense, there's always going to be small units. Even a little fucking beetle can mess you up and then cause you to get stepped on, and you die. People that suggest that you can actually get underneath the Bile Titan and do work are full of shit. Not because you can't do it, but because of the way the waves work, you're going to end up dying most of the time when you do that, or you have to weed everything out, which is possible, just takes a long time, and then hope there isn't 2 Bile Titans, which I usually end up with, so, yeah. Thermite grenade into the belly works great as well. I'm telling you to use thermite on a Bile Titan is fucking with you, okay? I mean, I've tried that as well. I just thought maybe it changed and I didn't know something. I didn't know you could actually use the HMG. I didn't know there's a little eyeball you could shoot, by the way. That's something new. I always went, either blew off the top headpiece or went underneath it. Kill Hulks by shooting their eyes. It's extremely difficult to do that because of recoil. Interesting. Either way, I didn't know you could shoot out the eyeball or even kill Heavy, the dog with the HMG. That's new. Mainly the takeaway there was the eyeball. I didn't know you could shoot an eyeball on them. There's a little panel on the front apparently you can shoot. Earlier sent us a question mark. I'm pretty sure this is a side effect of cheating. I've seen this in my games before when people are I'm pretty sure it's people replacing assets. I've seen this in my games. I don't know if it's a bug. A lot of the bugs in the game I'm very certain are caused by cheating. Cheating is, as you can imagine, unintended interactions with the game code, and that can cause a lot of bugs because they aren't trying to make their cheats oftentimes wholesome and interactable with the game code itself. The developers aren't programming their game to handshake with the cheats. A busty Tommy mommy. What the fuck is that? I swear she's Democratic. Yeah. Oh, I have to actually look at the obligatory photo here, guys. 1 second. I mean, yeah. Maybe, I mean, that's for you guys right there. Helldiver kun. Yep. Ah, that's pretty great. Must complete the operation to fully contribute to Liberation %. Fully contribute, but you still actually contribute even without completing it. Contribute as much. You know, positive negative ramifications from drilling to their hives, none whatsoever. It says new major order. Reduce the terminate population and clear plans for citizen settlements utilizing the new hive breaker drill. Uh-huh. I had Diff 9 last night, and I'm pretty sure these are fabricator spawns. Yeah, a lot of these are fabricator spawns. There's a normal wave here too, but these are probably all from a fabricator. They're all weaklings. You throw a grenade in there, and they basically all die. Okay. Let's see. Maybe we'll take a look at a tube video here real quick, guys. Oh my god. Ah, I gotta complete a CAPTCHA because TikTok thinks I'm AFK. 1 second, guys. I thought they're every 2 hours. Okay, yeah, here you go. TikTok does not understand streaming from multiple PCs, but that's okay, you know? It's a work in progress here. Oh, there we go. Great. What do we got going on here tonight? There's a lot. We haven't watched videos in a long time. We haven't watched tubes in a long time, mainly because I've been super enamored with Helldivers. Maybe we'll take a look at a critical drinker here. We already took a look at the teaser for Zen 5, which is also the 9000 series coming out. Purportedly, allegedly, 18% gains in IPC, and generally otherwise the same clocks are very similar to what's going on right now. Equivalently, 79, well, if you're talking just randomly, let's say a 9800 is about the equivalent of a 7800 X3D. Apparently it's slightly slower, and it's kind of a side grade according to AMD, so that's not quite the equivalent of an X3D chip, which means the X3D chip should be pretty spanking. And allegedly, first rumor I heard was September, but they might even show up earlier than that, because the 9000 series chips should be showing up in July, probably the beginning of July. And allegedly, the X3D chips are supposed to show up in September, according to rumor, but that I've heard they might even be sooner than that because there's already seen listings and support for them. So they might be maybe on launch or maybe even a little bit after launch. So in July is supposed to be the 9000 series chips, and then maybe August. Maybe August for the X3D chips. Either way, it's a lot faster than the last cycle, which is a lot faster than the cycle before. Because the 5800 X3D came out like a year and a half after the launch of the 5000 series chips, because it was a side thing that AMD did on a whim, and then they realized how good it was. And then they did it with the 7000 series, which I own one, a 7950 X3D, which I own one, and that came out like 8 months later after their launch, 6 months later after launch, I think. And now it's even faster than that. So they're catching up with the X3D chips, which makes sense because they're two different markets. Gamers want the X3D chips if they know anything about the AMD series, and you know, AMD wants to sell chips, right? So I mean, it's not going to encourage gamers to buy a 9800, then buy the 9800 X3D and just wait, right? Wait 3 months or wait 6 months, which is what I did with the last series. I'm not going to go out of my way to buy one and then buy the other one, because that'd be pretty stupid. That's a very short hardware turnover cycle. At least 2 years is what you want, right? Alright, but that's coming up. The new 5000 series, there's a lot of cool hardware releases which we're going to be covering. The new 5000 series release for NVIDIA, so the 5090 is reportedly coming out this fall. I believe that was acknowledged by NVIDIA, but they said the 5080 is not coming out this fall. The 5090 is also apparently a cut-down version of the chip, the new chip, which means there's possibly a Titan coming out too. So they took the 4080, and instead of having a 5080, the 5080 is now a 5090, and the 4090 is now a Titan. Whether or not that comes to pass, I don't know, but there's definitely room there for a bigger chip. An uncut-down version of a chip, which usually means a Titan. So yeah. Hey guys, look, you get to sell 2 kidneys now. Yep. No announcement so far for AMD's new gaming GPUs. So their 8000 or whatever 1000 series they're gonna have for their what would they be on now? That would be like a 10,000 series now. Because their last gen is like a 9000. Is it a 9000? 9700 XTX? 9800 XTX. I think. So the 10,000 series, that hasn't been announced at all. Intel said their new chips are coming up sometime expected later this fall, so winter, fall, so maybe around November. Either way, they haven't went so super far into announcements. Intel's been kind of lackluster on their new technology. The 14,000 series was a bust. It was supposed to allegedly, rumoredly, supposed to have a giant cache on it, same way as X3D chips from AMD. It did not. Meteor Lake was supposed to have a giant cache on it. It did not, but that might change in the future. So, remains to be seen. Let's see. Either way, fun. We're on a hardware release year, guys. Fun. QA. DDR5 8400. Polygon degradation. Yes, Lane? Good. Communication. Yep. Oh, they got fancy shirts now. Oh my god. Whether or not, I don't think they acknowledge having silicon degradation. They already have a patch coming up for the performance issues. Thermal view. It has a temp sensor next to your connector to make sure it doesn't overheat. Thermal Grizzly is, I think CEO of that is DeBauer, or he has an investment stake in the company. I don't remember exactly how it works. I think he's either the CEO or investor in Thermal Grizzly, which is a popular tuber we occasionally watch too. Tech tuber. Stupid VIG VRMs. That kind of sucks. ASRock always has really kind of nice hardware, but their firmware is fucking terrible. I will not buy a ASRock board ever again. It's just, they're fucking horrible. Absolutely horrible. They're always buggy. Their motherboards are buggy, glitchy shit. Yeah? You mean because they're super expensive? I mean, you don't need to be interested in stuff I'm interested in, Slaying. You can be interested in whatever the fuck you want, you know? Yeah, they've gotten much more expensive and less accessible, and it's more like a leasing program now, I'd say, as opposed to a buying program. Let's take a look at a hardware drinker. A hardware drinker. A hardware drinker? A critical drinker. Let's see. Also, love this guy's videos, by the way. He does a lot of, like, building stuff, if you're into that. Critical Drinker is on about the Acolyte, which is pretty interesting from, Injected. Yeah, we watched episode 1, an Injected, narrative standpoint. Yeah, which the supporters were on board for the first, 2 episodes-ish. They were pretty they're holding their ground. And episode 3 and 4 apparently are pretty bad. I haven't watched it yet. I'll watch the whole series because I watch everything Star Wars, even though it's usually fucking bad nowadays. I'll watch it just like I watched Han Solo. Excuse me, not Han Solo. Obi-Wan. I watched Obi-Wan get torn down and led around by a 10-year-old girl. Yeah, and basically been shown to an incompetent Jedi and an idiot. Yeah, and also a terrible submissive guy. But you know, it's fine. It's all fine, guys.
You know, reviewing the cinematic calamity that is the Acolyte is a bit like being one of those poor guys shoveling radioactive debris off the roof at Chernobyl. You have to limit your exposure time, otherwise it's a one-way trip.
I believe this is from the Chernobyl HBO series.
Anyway, since
which, by the way, is pretty good.
Upon myself
even though it
document the full
the Chernobyl HBO series over there's actually a couple like corrective pieces that came out after it. They overemphasized the dangers of radiation and sensationalized them. To be fair, it is a series, but it presented itself as kind of a documentary, as opposed to something that was fear-mongering or just dramatic in general. And it kind of sucks, because right now we kind of really kind of need nuclear energy, if you guys aren't familiar with that, due to our temperature shifts that are happening right now, which you may or may not think do exist. That's, I guess, up in the air for some people, but I'm gonna point out, and as I always do, and this is gonna be my favorite example, that we had a 50-degree average February in Wisconsin. 50-degree average February, with 2 days at 70. When we were supposed to have 3 feet of snow on the ground, we had nothing. Yeah, in February. It was supposed to be in the teens, and it was 50 on average, with 2 70-degree days. So, regardless of whatever you think, I'm just going to point that out anyways.
Scale of this disaster piece for as long as my brain and liver can hold up. It's onwards and downwards.
Weather's dynamic, but it also follows
2,
trends.
30 minutes of TV, which I'm relatively convinced was written by a group
like,
of chimpanzees.
If you don't think the weather can be changed, cloud seeding is actually a thing that already exists, and they don't generally do it because they're unsure of. Well, there's more testing going on now, but basically cloud seeding came around in the 60s or 50s, I think it was tested, like really early on. It's actually kind of weird how we have all this technology from like the 50s and 60s. It was kind of like thought like it was like, you know, like something that someone came up with, and then they're like, no, let's not do that. Let's just do something else. And now all of a sudden it's like fucking, what, 80 years later, and we're now going back to dip into it. It's crazy. But cloud seeding, if you don't think we can modify the environment, we can 100% do that. They just don't understand exactly what it does. And that's changing because they're actually experimenting with it. Nukes can change the weather? Sure they can. A lot of things can.
Difficulties. The episode opens with onwards and downwards with episode 2. 30 minutes of TV, which I'm relatively convinced was written by a group of chimpanzees with learning difficulties.
High school degrees.
The episode opens with strong female antagonists sneaking into a Jedi temple on generic planet number 4271. This is where she encounters token white guy who's floating in the middle of the room meditating or something. And let's just take a moment to appreciate this guy's character design, shall we? I didn't think it was possible to simultaneously look like an old man and a small child, but apparently they found a way.
Yep, an extremely powerful Jedi, mind you. Why they made him look like this, I have no idea, but they made him have submissive neckbeard with, that's balding, and he basically, spoilers, he commits seppuku, because she made him feel sorry for himself. Yeah. If you can't figure out the thinly veiled arguments going on here, there are some.
Way to make it happen. We also learn later in the episode that token white guy's been here for more than 10 years and hasn't spoken a word to anyone that whole time. So, like, has he just been floating here in the middle of the room for a decade? How does he eat, or sleep, or take a force dump? Are Jedi allowed to just abandon their responsibilities and go in the huff for 10 years with no repercussions or official punishment? Who knows? The showrunners almost certainly don't, because I'm willing to bet their thinking on this one didn't extend much beyond, wouldn't it be cool if strong female antagonist has to kill a Jedi, but he's protected by a magical bullshit force field, so she has to find another way to kill him instead. So anyway, strong female antagonist does her patented come at me bro routine.
Attack me with all your strength.
And tries to kill token white guy, but he's protected by a magical bullshit force field and all her attacks just kind of bounce off him. I love how the force has gone from this subtle mystical power that gives people some limited influence on the physical world to just full-on magic that can do whatever the script needs it to.
So, well, I'm going to point out that modern Star Wars is an abomination, because it definitely is, and you know, like the first 3 movies, not the first 3 created movies, but, you know, episode 1 through 3 were bad. They aren't nearly as bad as what's going on right now. It's fucking terrible. That being said, if you know anything about some of the lore with Star Wars where they've made books, there's like some, like we're talking like fucking Thanos level, or not even Thanos, like God level characters that like can bring down Star Destroyers with the Force and stuff like that. Like they went completely off the rails. I believe there's a Sith that fits that, like not like Darth Vader, but stronger than Darth Vader. That fits that, where he's just like pulling down ships out of orbit and stuff like that. Yeah, like they go completely anime boss Naruto stuff.
Truly, George Lucas must be proud of what they've done with his creation. Now, you might think that strong female antagonist would have been prepared for a contingency like this. I mean, this force field might be able to deflect knives and fists, but I'm pretty sure it's not impenetrable. Maybe she brought along poison gas that could seep through the force field and choke him to death. Or an explosive charge that would collapse the temple on top of his head. Or a thermal detonator that would vaporize everything in the vicinity. I mean, they might not be the most elegant solutions, but if you've only got one chance to kill this guy, then you'd be wise to take any opportunity that you can. But nah, instead she's just like, well, I'm out of ideas, and runs away. This is where we hook up with strong female character number 1 and Squid Game guy, who get word of the assassination attempt from strong female.
By the way, he is a phenomenal actor. I love Squid Games. Absolutely phenomenal actor. And, you know, like, he can play a character. He can definitely play a character. Why did they pick this for a strong male character? You can pick, you know, there's plenty of Asian guys that are very masculine. Jet Li or Bruce Lee, or shit, what's his name? Jackie Chan. He's been more in kids shows if I remember right. But there's plenty of characters that actually have more masculine elegance or charisma, right? You know, more that encourage you to line up and behind them in battle, right? Why they pick the guy that looks like he's down on his luck and, you know, having the worst time of his life to play Master Jedi or just a Jedi? I don't really know, but they did.
Female character number 3 and set out to investigate. Meanwhile, strong female antagonist meets up with discount Ezra Miller, which I do know why they picked him out, is a misleading name since it implies that Ezra Miller has any intrinsic value to begin with, but hey, at least he got there first. Anyway, discount Ezra Miller's killed the owner of a local drugstore and taken over the place. Why? Don't know. But if your intention here is to operate covertly, then killing a local businessman and stealing his shop probably isn't the best way to go about it. I mean, people generally come to know local shop owners because they're an important part of the community, and if one of them was to go missing suddenly, then I'm pretty sure they'd start asking questions. And the first person they'd ask is the random arsehole that's suddenly squatting in his shop. Anyway, those are questions for a different show. A show written by functioning adults who actually understand cause and effect, and that's not what The Acolyte is about. So anyway, discount Ezra Miller gives strong female antagonist a poison to kill token white guy, since weapons apparently don't work on him. Now, at first, I have to admit that I thought this was a good idea. Maybe it's some kind of airborne pathogen that his force field can't protect him from, or acid strong enough to melt his fake beard off. But nah, it's just actual poison that he has to drink.
Well, that's definitely shite.
I I don't think you really appreciate the dimensions of this particular problem, Discount Ezra Miller. If she can't physically reach him, then she can't force him to drink the poison, and so the mission's a bust. So if we're assuming that he knew she was gonna need that poison, which is why he took over the drugstore, then why the hell didn't he give this to her on her first attempt at killing this guy? Why did he wait for her to fail and then come back for more help? Isn't that just putting a massive target on your back? But that's okay, because I guess strong female antagonist has read the script already and knows that everything's gonna work out fine. Now, you might think that if there'd been an assassination attempt on the local Jedi by someone who's already murdered at least one Jedi Master, it would make sense to beef up security around the temple, lock the place down, have armed guards stationed at every entry point, maybe even move Token White Guy to a more secure location. So it was refreshing to see that they did absolutely fuck all in this case, and the only thing that was beefed up around here was this body positive individual. You know, I seem to recall reading that Jedi practice intense mental and physical discipline, training their bodies and minds to the very peak of their capabilities to give themselves the best possible chance in the event of armed conflicts. The thing is, mental and physical discipline are not words that come to mind when I look at the big lad here. No wonder Token White Guy lives in a force bubble for 10 years. The only thing I'd trust this guy to defend me from is an all-you-can-eat buffet. So Squid Game Guy and strong female character arrive at the temple, but they're too late to stop strong female antagonist, who slips inside completely unopposed because everyone in this episode is retarded, and gives Token White Guy the poison.
He said the R word.
And he's like, well, guess it's time to die then, and promptly murders himself. I genuinely don't understand what just took place here. Like, if Token White Guy places so little value on his own life, then why did he even resist?
She made him feel bad about himself and guilty, so he
why
killed
not just
himself.
let her kill you? Jesus, even Carrie Ann Moss got to put up some kind of fight, but this chump just agrees to die without even a whimper.
Oh yes, that's shite.
Yeah.
Fuck off, Token White Guy, and take your stupid 1970s hairdo with you.
Is that even 1970s? It's not even, like, that's not like a mullet or anything. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah. Like, maybe what the fans look like or something? I don't know. Like, why, once again, why did they pick him? They could have picked tons of, you know, fantastic looking Jedi, right? Asian Jedi. And they pick him. And once again, great actor. Squid Games is phenomenal, but totally an absolute miscast. And by the way, this guy's dumb. If you're like, oh, there's a beefcake over there. Yeah, he's actually stupid. So, yeah. You got submissive guy, you got beefcake that's dumb. Yeah, and obviously the chicks that just lead the charge around.
It would make sense for strong female antagonist and Discount Ezra Miller to get off the planet as quickly as possible.
Token White Guy
After all, they've done what they need to do here, and the Jedi are clearly onto them now, so there's no reason to stay here a second longer. But because everyone in this episode is retarded, they decide to hang around in the vicinity of the crime scene for absolutely no reason, which gives Squid Game Guy and strong female character
apparently you can say the R word again, guys.
By tracking the
which I'm
poison
not going
back
to,
to the only
because,
drugstore in the area, which Discount Ezra Miller is conveniently still living in.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of, at this point, like we mentioned at the beginning of this, before even watching this, it's kind of fun to watch how this evolves over social media. There was a strong push against people for, which we aren't going to watch it tonight, because I do want to play some Helldivers here, and podcast doesn't go too long, because even though this is 10 minutes, I spent your, like, you know, talking about this for, like, 20 additional minutes, right, on top of it. We aren't going to watch the next episode of this. She's covering each one. But even then, like, there's strong proponents that were holding the line against people that they obviously thought were just, like, hard right-wing people, so, like, hard Republicans, right? Just, like, super right-sided on the political spectrum. They're, like, holding the line, and then, like, episode 3 and 4 swing around, and you can see that starting to deteriorate. Like, it's actually turning into one of these things where, like, even the really most venomous fans of Star Wars that are like, no, they can't do any wrong no matter what, everything is good that they're releasing no matter what because it's Star Wars, are starting to actually buckle because they realize that it's actually, there isn't anything here. It's not really even a story, it's just a bunch of checkboxes that they're forcing everyone to basically drink. If the Token White Guy wasn't an obvious example of that, where she just made him feel guilty and he killed himself in the movie series, by the way, yeah, I don't really know what to tell you.
And so that the rest of the plot can happen.
Fuck.
You'd think at this point they would start to investigate what common factor links the two Jedi victims, like a past mission that they went on together, for example. I'm no expert, but I'm pretty sure that's basic police procedure when dealing with serial killers like this, trying to understand what connects the victims. Anyway, this is when something happens which is so monumentally dumb, it makes everything else in this episode look like a Christopher Nolan movie by comparison. Strong female character decides that it's best to go into the shop posing as strong female antagonist so that she can get a confession from Discount Ezra Miller about what happens. Why can't you just go in there, arrest him, and use that forced mind reading trick from the first episode to rip the information you need right out of his heads? Why are you wasting time with this ridiculous contrived bullshit? Why doesn't Discount Ezra Miller immediately realise that something's up when his friend starts acting like a completely different person and asking probing questions about stuff that they both already know? Why does nothing in this show make any sense? The thing is, this is exactly what dumb male characters suggested, and it was played off as some ridiculous plan and shot down immediately by strong female character number 2, when in reality it was a much more logical and reliable way of getting the information they need. Anyway, so the gang spring their idiotic trap and Squid Game guy gets into a martial arts battle with strong female antagonist, because that's apparently how fighting gets done in Star Wars now, and then she escapes by knocking some dust in their faces.
Smoke bomb!
You went full retard.
Smoke bomb!
Yeah, sure, let's go with that. And strong female character tries to stop her with a stun gun but misses for some reason, like she's really conflicted by this whole thing. It's a stun gun, you fucking moron. It's designed to stun people without harming them. You're not being asked to kill her. There's no moral dilemma to any of this. Just stun her, apprehend her, and then pick up the pieces later. But instead she lets her go so that the rest
it's
of
like
the
they're
plot...
copying a cliche, or what's a good word for that? A trope. It's like they're copying a trope from another series where they don't completely understand what they're writing, and they're just like, this sounds good, let's do this. Like in a series where she's like her daughter or something, and she doesn't want to apprehend her because she knows what she's doing actually is morally right, and there's no way that they can actually take her into custody, one of these things, so she lets her go, right? Yeah.
What can happen?
Son of a bitch!
Then strong female antagonist links back up with Discount Ezra Miller and decides to trust him again, despite the fact that he told the Jedi their entire plan and has definitely compromised their mission beyond any hope of completion, because everyone in this episode is retarded. You know, they say that characters are only as smart as the people writing them, and I think the Acolyte is a perfect demonstration of that. Nobody in this show acts with anything even approaching common sense or logic. People make completely incongruous decisions
because they don't really understand why they're there. They're trying to inject what they actually feel in real life into a series, and they're just like, let's cloud it, or clothe it. Let's clothe it in Star Wars, and that's basically all it is at this point, and that's why people are starting to reject it, because they're like, hey, this actually is in Star Wars, it's nothing to do with Star Wars, like the whole fire in space, which could actually, if you guys didn't know, you can actually have fire in space, right? It's entirely possible. They weld underwater. It's entirely possible to have fire in a vacuum. You can do it, right? You just have to have the right mixture of gases being ejected basically makes a flame, right? But the thing about it was, when they had fire in space, it literally looked like a campfire. It didn't, like, there's no science behind it. Which is what Star Wars or fantasy fans or sci-fi fans nerd out about, right? Like in, not Black Mirror, not Black Matter is, that's a sci-fi series from a long time ago. What's the Amazon series that they took over? The Expanse. Expanse is pretty good, and they nerd out on the science aspect to it, which a lot of fantasy and sci-fi geeks love. They love this stuff, right? But they just don't care. They don't care about the lore. They don't care about the science. They don't care about stuff that makes sense. It's just all about literally just peddling a narrative. That's it. That's all they want to do. And apparently you're a bad person for pointing it out now. Like, hey, maybe we want the story. You know, you could even do it like a little bit of it. It's still fine, but I actually want a good story, right? And then they don't do that.
For no other reason than to keep this absurd parody of a story trundling forwards. The problem with a murder mystery plot is that you actually have to build up and maintain a mystery to keep the audience invested, and it's pretty difficult to do that when every character...
Mysteries, by the way, are hard to do and keep people engaged, mainly because people just, they disengage from it if it's not an intricate... I don't really like murder mysteries for the most part. It's like, there's a Conan, I think it's a popular anime. I tried to watch it, I just couldn't do it. Because at the end of the day, obviously the author holds all the cards and they just drag you along by the nose and expect you to just kind of like, hey, look at this stuff. Maybe this is good, maybe it's not. And then, it doesn't... You're just like, okay. And then here's a villain. They don't give you enough information to figure it out in the first place. And just kind of like whatever, right? The Expanse actually was a murder mystery when it started out. If you guys don't remember that, Expanse, by the way, a very good series, and Amazon took it over and injected with a lot of left-leaning political agenda in the later seasons. It went from very, very good. It was one of my top views in the first 3 seasons when Sci-Fi had it. Then I believe season 4 is when Amazon took it over, and season 5 was bad. Was there 6 seasons? Season 6 was even worse. It's just like the characters weren't even acting like what they're supposed to. Let's see, The Expanse. I think there was 6 seasons. The 7th season? What? I was so sad. Like, it was good. There were 6 seasons, yes. And this last season wasn't even a season. They just, you started doing stuff like watching, or just watching some of the main characters just go around and, you know, explore their sexuality and stuff, and that, like, drama and minority issues, I guess you could say, depending on what you're looking like, and avoiding saying the L word, right? Yeah, like, that's all it became. It was no longer a sci-fi soap opera, like Stargate kind of is, where you have these factions that are dealing with each other constantly and having to work around their political, geopolitical, or I guess space political boundaries, and then the unknown of aliens, and a gateway that opened up to another galaxy but has an intrinsic volatility or hostility to it, right? Yeah, so, yeah, they were fucking great. They're absolutely fucking great. They're phenomenal. It was great. And then the Amazon took it over in season 4, season 4, they took it over, which was alright. That's where they're still kind of exploring, like, the cosmos alien aspect to it. They're exploring it, and then season 5 got bad, and season 6 was like barely on the radar. It was so horrible. And then at the end of it, it's like it was like looking for an acknowledgement from one of the main male characters who was no longer basically the main cast of the show. Naomi was a cool character. They basically just made her the head of the show. Was it Alex? I forgot what his name is. His main head character. One of the guys got apparently sexual harassment allegations, and they just killed him off. Spoilers, by the way. I think that was actually Alex that they killed off. And the last guy was just like, okay, whatever, you can just do what you want. Here, have the galaxy. You know, one of those things. And, like, it made no sense. Everything made no sense after basically Amazon took over and just started injecting stuff into it. It was pretty terrible.
Spills their guts about everything that's happening at the very first opportunity, and all the major players are so completely boring and unlikable that you don't even care who lives or dies anyway. Everything about this episode is idiotic, childly simplistic, and so badly...
Babylon 5 is one of my top-rated sci-fi shows. Keep in mind, Babylon 5 is really fucking old. I actually occasionally talk about it. Maybe you were on my channel. Maybe you watched it because I talked about it. I've talked about it occasionally over the years. Babylon 5 is probably one of my favorite shows. Much like there are favorite sci-fi shows, there are some that you have to take with a grain of salt because there's some issues, like some areas in it that don't really work well. Battlestar Galactica, very good. Skip the Caprica arc in Battlestar Galactica. They spent, like, was it 2 or 3 seasons on Caprica? It's bad. It's really depressing. It's horrible. It slows down to a trot, and then they start obsessing about issues like other things outside of, like, actually finding their home. It became really fucking weird. Babylon 5, very, very, very good. Very good writing. Very, very good. I actually would be curious to see how Critical Drinker would assess Babylon 5 now. It's extremely good writing. The characters all had unique personalities, and basically the Babylon 5 is a space station in which they have basically negotiations for peace, basically between factions or races, right? So they all have their kind of own angle, and the writers are very good at it. However, keep in mind, the CG is fucking terrible. It is old and ancient, and you'll immediately realize how bad the CG is, right? 90s CG. And then also the first season's bad with the original captain, because he had this really weird nuances where he just smiled constantly. He just like, yeah, hey, I actually hate you, but I hope you're doing good. You know, like one of these weird things. Felt super fake. The original captain of the space station, I don't remember his name, was not very good at all. Otherwise, the seasons after that point are actually extremely good, in my opinion. Very, very good. Yeah, it's very good. And then also don't watch, what's it called, Crusader? Don't watch Crusader. That's a spin-off series, and also I didn't even watch it. Apparently it's really, really bad. But Babylon 5 itself, very well-written series. It's extremely good. Extremely, extremely good. The only bad downside to it is putting aside the first season with the bad captain, which they changed, by the way. The CG is also pretty bad, too.
Implemented, then it's not just ham-fisted.
Yeah, I didn't think he went to the psych ward. I thought he had cancer. I thought he died of cancer. Well, they first replaced him because he had cancer, and then he died. Yeah, he was just like, he does like sit there and smile randomly and shit. It felt so off. I don't know, but they replaced him, so.
Instead, it's sausage fingered and mystical is that you actually have to build up and maintain a mystery to keep the audience invested, and it's pretty difficult to do that when every character spills their guts about everything that's happening at the very first opportunity, and all the major players.
So by the way, a modern example of this storytelling like this in modern media is anime. Does this oftentimes, but in anime they have mystery, allure, different things going on, obviously fantasy elements to it with power-ups and such going on along with it that actually draws you into it. So even if they spill their guts about something, there's another thing right around the corner that actually makes a lot of sense. And they're like, you know, like even though it might resolve one conflict that is currently happening, it immediately goes to another conflict. Currently waiting for, well, probably one of my top-rated animes, by the way, now is Freerun. And I think it's an anime? It's one of my, let's see. I think it's one of my, I wrote a review about it. Let's see. That's my current review, yeah. So I haven't written a review in ages. Freerun is very, very, very good. If you're into anime, very good. It's kind of a slow burning. It has a lot. It's like slice of life, but also slow burning / shonen. Kind of hard to mix those together. And like an overall kind of, what would you call it? Longitudinal, which is basically the study of history or how things correlate with each other over time. Basically, because it's not. Basically, she's an adventurer who's an elf. Your stereotypical token, you know, token as in Lord of the Rings kind of fantasy, high lore fantasy, right? But at the same time, she is an elf that's 1,000 years old. So the story is actually from her perspective, not from the humans that she is with. And what that means is she goes through multiple parties throughout the anime. Like one of those things. So it's almost like having Naruto, but Naruto dies, and then a new Naruto shows up, and then it's about the new Naruto, too, at the same time. It's actually really, really, really good. Extremely good. There are some extremely good animes, but it's not like one of these things where you can't do it with, like, the way they're doing things, where they're just like, hey, here, look, he was the villain all along. It's almost like kid show stuff. It's like where they just, you know, like, make it extremely easy to understand, but then they don't understand the other elements, like shonen, that actually makes it good. Or, like, shonen's for younger audiences. Anime for younger audiences, right? Yeah. You got bored of Freerun? It does. I know people say just watch more and it gets better. Freerun starts out as what you would consider a slice of life anime and boring. I don't watch slice of life anime. It starts out that way, and I guarantee you by episode 10, you'll be pretty on the hook with it. You'll have to come back and tell me, by the way. I obviously can't keep track of your life, but you should come back and tell me whether or not it does that for you. Because there aren't many where I'm like, you know, you just gotta have to watch more. Because people say that, by the way, people use that excuse all the fucking time. They use it all the time about good shit, like shows that they think are good. When in actuality, they just got nostalgic and they just enjoy it. Like, I've heard that about, like, Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail is like it's an anime that's like 600 episodes long, and it combines all the tropes of most, like, modern shonens. It's like, hey, bud, here, look at this. This is good because it was in Naruto or in DBZ or in One Piece. Yeah, look, here's another generic trope. How's it going? I've heard people say that about Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail sucks. It's fucking terrible. Freerun, on the other hand, is extremely good, and it does definitely start out exactly as you said, which is it's boring. Starts out as a slice of life, and by I think it's episode 10, it turns into more of a shonen angle. I mean, it goes back and forth kind of between like just slice of life and kind of shonen, but at the same time, it's also kind of like feel-good stuff because they also get more powerful while it's turning into the slice of life stuff. So you have to realize the character building that happens in the background while this is going on. It is a really, really, really weird mix, and I've never seen... I don't think I've ever had anything kind of the same mixes, because if you ever watch Record of Lotus Wars, it's an old anime from the 90s. It's along the same vein, which is, it's kind of a token, going on an epic quest sort of thing, but it has a very different tone and direction of the anime itself. You have to watch it. It is definitely one of these series where it does not start out the way that you think it's going to and keeps going that way. And I know people use it all the time as an excuse. They use it all the goddamn time as an excuse, so what a good series is, just watch more of it and it gets better. In this case, it's 10 episodes, and it definitely gets better. It 100% gets better. But yeah, free run, an example of, you know, like where they're doing like storytelling where it's just right in your face and they tell you. It's kind of like, which can work. It's just it has to be done well. And in the case of what they're doing with Star Wars, they aren't even doing storytelling. It's just like, hey, we're gonna go here and do this. Like they do a lot of filler stuff that we talk about in like One Piece. One Piece does, because of the slow pacing of it, due to the fact that it's mixed with it has to keep up with the manga, which means it's a one episode per chapter, and it's supposed to be 1 to 2 to 3 is what most animes do. So it's really, really slow. They add a lot of travel sequences. The battles are drawn out, and oftentimes not with new action sequences where they just repeat frames. Maps, recaps, lots of maps, recaps, explanations, just like narrative explanations that don't really matter at all to avoid basically plot because they're trying to draw it out. It reminds me of this, but in the actual, it's the same thing with like Obi-Wan and Boba Fett. There just isn't anything there. There's nothing going on behind the scenes, so it doesn't matter what, like, they're just drawing out basically the lack of writing for the most part. Andor, now if you're looking for a good series, Andor is fantastic. Andor is a great Star Wars series. However, I kind of doubt that it's going to survive, mainly due to the fact that it flew under the radar. No one had any expectations for Andor. I didn't. And it's probably up there with Breaking Bad in terms of how good it is, yeah. If you were into slow burn / character narrative driven series, it is phenomenal in my opinion. But that being said, now Disney, the Eye of Disney Sauron? The Eye of Disney Sauron is now on Andor, and I kind of doubt it's going to escape basically the clutches of Disney, and what they're going to do with, like, what they did with Acolyte is what they're going to do with fucking Andor, unfortunately. Andor is a very good series, though. It starts out that way. By visiting the Disney narrative tropes. They avoided them with clever writing, so they didn't have to worry about sequences where basically men are just proven to be idiots most of the time, and they can't win in a, like, let's say, battle wits against a woman, or even a fight of strength for the most part, and they're always shown to be dumb, which is kind of where things are going. Guys, especially in Star Wars or Marvel, are usually either they're either dumb, submissive, or they're evil. And that's basically your three choices that you have. And that's what we have going on here.
So completely boring and unlikable that you don't even care who lives or dies anyway. Everything about this episode is idiotic, childly simplistic, and so badly implemented that it's not just ham-fisted, it's sausage-fingered and bacon-wristed. It's a textbook example of people hired for their identity rather than their talent, reaching for something that's far beyond their intellectual grasp, and blowing
It does. It really, really does. And that has a lot to do with modern politics going on right now. Gender dynamics in the U.S. are extremely weird right now. Very, very weird.
Of millions of dollars in the process. The Acolyte is a show made
and
by
a lot of young men
idiots
who have no
for
confidence because they basically have had no girlfriends will pretty much do anything to maintain or have any sort of relationship, which includes just being used whatever way they, they want to be. So
morons,
kind
which
of
even
sad.
the most die-hard Star Wars fanboys would struggle to defend at this point. Anyway, that's all I've got for today.
And it's buckling, as I mentioned.
Go away now.
The diehard Star Wars fans are buckling. And we'll take a look at the next episode tomorrow of Critical Drinker. I love this, because it's basically straight to the point. It's exactly addressing the problems that people don't want to talk about for the most part. So, yeah. Straight to the point, and I don't think it's not hatred or fueled by bigotry. I think he does a pretty logical job of explaining his position and why it's bad. But good shit, guys. All right. Let's move on to Helldivers 2. Yes, it does. 100%. Construct, it being one of the words, yeah. Example of a guy just being overly enamored with getting laid, right? Yeah. Let's move on, guys. Out of the podcast here. Construct, huh? Yes, it does. I think a lot of guys, especially around their first partner or their first significant other, have been in that position where they're overly enamored with someone or who they are. Until they get more opportunities. It's actually kind of why prostitution should honestly be legalized in the U.S. and it's not. It's legalized in almost all EU countries. If you guys are curious, it's regulated in most, and some even have unions. And you go, well, that's not going to change anything. It 100% does, because if guys are guys build confidence based on experience, and if they get more partners, regardless of where they come from, they're unwilling to put up with basically shit. They're unwilling to put up with crap just to stay in a relationship so they can get laid. Very much true. Although that might even be changing with the whole AI girlfriends coming out, guys. That's definitely going to if AI partners, AI girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever you want. Yeah, is also something coming out in the future. So that is very much on the radar, and I don't think people really take much to be engaged. Kind of sadly, that's where society is going at this point. I think they're just going to get priced out of the market. This is the way it's going to work. All right. Okay, I'm gonna wash my coffee cup out, guys, and grab a soda. I still have some water here. I'll be back in a second, and then we'll play some Helldivers. Alrighty. Yes, vaginas do make men stupid. Construct is actually a term. Very true. Alright. Alrighty. Over 7. Yep. Alright, so there's a lot of shit, guys, we're gonna have to test out here tonight. A couple things we want to try out here tonight that I have been messing around with. We're trying the Ruptor again. The Pastel Shooter or the Tenderizer. I want to see what the difficulty is like here tonight, too. To try out the new weapons from the new DLC, which we haven't taken a look at yet. I want to revisit, I guess, the crossbow, even though I imagine it's going to be fucking terrible. Okay.
Every sector in the galaxy must be purged of the alien menace.
I need to make these, like, less opaque. This is actually one of the planets we have to go to. But it looks like it's easy to miss it because of the background. It's very easy to... are there special missions for this? Like it. Major order failed. I mean, it was actually a success, just not complete success. We might host my own games, too. We were having really weird games yesterday. We'll see how it goes.
Initiating FTL jump to Corsica system. FTL jump successful.
Evac.
Hellpods prime.
Scatter increase.
Mission coordinates locked.
I was considering the precision strike. We might try that as well. Oh, it's going to be off because of the spread, isn't it? So we can't use it. Alright. Yes.
The fate of all humanity's children are in your hands. Do not
Alrighty.
requesting
Bitch. Dead.
request approved. Reinforcements have been launched. Democracy has landed.
Alright, what do we got? Let's go to the southern nest over here.
Support weapon.
Juicy.
That's called democracy.
I still remember that guy yesterday. We're kiting around the entire blob of enemies and just hanging on. Just hanging on for dear life. And everything was going fine. And the one thing that actually kills me is the guy that just threw an impact nade. Probably to help out.
Sending in an eagle.
Here. The only thing that kills you in the game when you're good enough is other Helldivers. A lot of enemies here. Close. Alright. A lot of guys here. Maybe we're back to... Maybe we're back to what it was. So yesterday was pretty bad as far as difficulty goes. The day before was alright. Now maybe we're back to decent difficulty again. But we're dead. Jesus Christ. Swear to God, they're just multiplying in front of us, too.
Point me to the enemy.
Supplies.
File 10. We had bug holes here, too. I was pretty sure we could get around the side. Visibility is so shit, though, it makes it difficult to, They're literally camping my body. The fuck is that? Fuck off, Joel.
You have accomplished liberty. Extracted your discretion.
Another one bites the dust.
What are you doing? Joel logic?
Dropping a pin. Southwest. 100
You don't say. I had no idea. Wow. What the... Alright, let's go back in here.
Heavy. Southwest. 50 meters.
Fire in the hole!
Calling in orbital strike.
Do one of those. There you go.
How'd you like to taste of freedom?
Tentatively has...
Throwing grenade!
He just booped it out. Pretty sure he just booped it out.
Fire in the hole!
Booped it out again. Can't tell if that's intentional or what.
You mad?
Huh? What good am I using for the bug holes? I'm using two. I'm using a grenade pistol as well as a Ruptor. And the Ruptor just recently got buffed, and then we're trying to figure out whether or not it's back to God tier status. May or may not be.
Sending in an eagle.
Looks like it's not showing his clothes properly.
Extraction request confirmed. Shuttle inbound.
But
Down a support weapon.
little go-karts doing popping wheelies. Fucking beetles popping wheelies to come after you. They literally go zoom when they do it. It's like Mario Kart. I fucking love the animation, by the way. It's so silly. They originally didn't have an animation. They added that, by the way. I'm very certain they originally did not have an animation for their turbo mode. That was added later on. I hear you, little one. I hear you. I'm coming for you. Take you to safety. My God, think of the samples, guys. Samples matter.
ETA T-minus 1 minute.
Requesting advanced weaponry.
They missed the extra objective. The fuck is that? I don't know if we can make that. We have 500 kgs we could use.
Marking location north. Heavy north.
Depends on whether or not they wait after the shuttle comes in or not. Or they just leave me. But we'll complete our mission.
ETA T-minus 30 seconds.
Maybe we won't, because I have to actually throw 500 kg. And this is probably going to last longer than 30 seconds, isn't it? Joel's legitimately stopping me from finishing the game.
20 seconds.
Yeah, I can't kill it, because I don't have 500 kg now. Wait, can you put down a Hellbomb? Both storming?
ETA T-minus 10 seconds.
No, you can't. Ah, for fuck's sakes, Joel.
Northwest. Close.
I actually missed a nest here. Oh, let's see if they get on right away.
Requesting orbital. Requesting air support.
Countdown initiated.
They got on. Not getting it. Don't have any grenades either, so I can't hit anything. They kicked me at the end too. Wow. Oh, that's shitbirds right there, guys. They kicked me at the end because I wasn't gonna make the pad. That's hilarious. That's fucking hilarious. What a bunch of shitbirds. Like, you don't actually lose. You don't lose resource for me not actually making the extraction. Like, you lose resources if I actually would have made it to the extraction, but if you kick me, it's no different than if I don't extract it all anyways. Dumb bitch. That's hilarious. We aren't gonna wait for you, so I'm gonna kick you! Like, holy shit. Wow. Nuke the nursery. This is new. I haven't seen this. So this is the new one? Nuke the nursery, huh?
Allied destroyer has joined.
I don't know why it wasn't showing up on my map.
Engaging orbital thrusters. Orbit synchronized.
Like, that's next level shitbird, guys. Like, you know, it's one thing I'm not gonna make it, right? But it's another thing if you kick me before you lift off because I can't make the extract. That's incredible. We don't have any spread. Let's do game. We're gonna keep trying out the Ruptor and Tenderizer. We get opportunities here. Probably can do a precision strike just to see how it's going. I highly doubt it's going to be competitive with. I highly doubt it's going to be competitive with 500 kgs, but maybe. Yeah, that's incredible, guys. I don't think I've ever been kicked for not making the extract before. That's a new one. That is next level bullshittery. Holy fuck. Holy fucking shit. I wanted to finish the side objectives they didn't do. They not only extracted, and then they kicked me when I was trying to do them at the end. I don't even know. That's like, what top level shitbirdness. Like, that's something that you shouldn't even see in Helldivers. That is incredible. Like, petty shit. Holy crap. Well, you see something new every day, guys. I have like 500 hours in this game, and you see stuff like this new every day. Every fucking day. It's always a new thing. So I haven't done this before. I don't know exactly how this is going to go. This is probably something along the lines of just a normal drill mission, only you have nuke instead. Nuke the nursery chamber. Kill him in the nest, guys. No extra objectives. I guess they, well, maybe more in line with them actually taking the, let's see what this is. More in line with them probably taking the, flag capture missions, which have kind of set big areas, and then turning it. Hey, bud. Yep. Another one. There you go. Let's see if we can find where they're coming from. It's right over here. Definitely saw the butt plug already. I don't know where they went. Got it. Stop following me around. Go somewhere else. There's the butt plug. And then grab it. You have to run from the drill. Okay, it's like normally like the nuke launch. It doesn't look all that different. It's not like the Meridia missions. That allows them to give you special mission types or unique mission types without creating a lot of work for the development team. Stick to the formula. Bud. Guy burrowed behind me. Go over here.
Mag's empty.
Drop. Drop. Okay, fine. You can have one of my syringes.
Bug outpost spotted. Rare sample acquired.
Requesting sentry.
If I'm going to use the Ruptor, we talked about this before. Definitely perpetuated Ruptor meta. When the game first came out, or when the Ruptor first came out, and I used it twice, and I was like, this is OP as shit, and then I put it away. I was like, I'm not going to use it till they nerf it. And then they didn't, and it was a week later, and no one was using it, so I was like, well, I'll just use it till it becomes meta. And then it became meta, and then eventually got nerfed, and everyone cried. But obviously, use a different pistol when using a Ruptor. I have a grenade pistol right now. Hey guys, there must be a poo-poo tree here